I am a part of Tide. I'm one of the carers for someone living with dementia who Tide support. And honestly, I mean, Tide's been a lifeline. It's been really brilliant. Just to give you a bit of background about my story, I am a carer for my father who is 85, was actually just turned 86, but he has dementia and he's also pretty much 95% deaf. He was diagnosed, I think, in October 2019 or in the autumn of 2019. And the whole process was, it was very disjointed. It was, as a carer, it was really hard to know what next steps were. And I really felt that there was a need for a handbook and a guide to services like this. There isn't any handy guide in one place to all of the services and support that you need to access during the journey. And the journey is long. Point of diagnosis comes usually very late in the process because those who live and care for loved ones who have, or anyone that has dementia, you start to notice things pop up and then they become more frequent. And you don't want to think, lots of us think, oh, that's just old age. You don't want to think that someone you care for or love or are close to has dementia because that word has horrible connotations. And the positives of living with dementia are not out there in the media. Those stories aren't told. By the time that usually people are diagnosed, um, they probably need more help than they're offered. The process is disjointed, though luckily enough in Northern Ireland we have health and social care services working together, but they are still separate teams and we have five different health trusts. So it is very hard to know exactly throughout Northern Ireland what is available. And then, lots of us don't know exactly what the different stages are of dementia, especially those painful stages at the end where someone you have to make a decision and hopefully in tandem with your loved one. But when you have to think about, do they need to go into a home and what kind of home and how do you make that decision? And then you also reach end of life stage, and then maybe the person who you care for passes away. Support around those stages is very hard to find. So for me, I thought there was a yeah, this is a fantastic project. A point where my dad was diagnosed, it was hard to know what next steps are, and it was only when I kept connecting with his doctor. His doctor's surgery is amazing, but I know lots of other surgeries are under pressure and don't offer the same support or guidance. But there wasn't a very clear pathway to, okay, you've got memory problems. Um, yes, actually, this is dementia, and we should refer you to the memory clinic. There may be a need for medication, and we also should connect you with a dementia navigator. And the dementia navigator, I think, may have at one point contacted me, but by then it was it was confusing, to be honest, and also the fact that my father is deaf. So people in Belfast Trust Sensory Support have been amazing, but they're one-offs. They're lucky, like, or I was lucky to find them. There's so much support that you need and help on the journey. And also the fact that my father was a really strong character who was had lived by himself for 25 years, was adamant that he was not, there was nothing wrong, he was fine, that he was never going to go into a home. yeah, them being able to try and get the help and support we needed was not easy because you don't know what's available, and people are very agencies, support agencies. I don't know if this is just an Northern Ireland thing, but they'll give you reams and reams of paper and leaflets and wee books and pamphlets and whatever. Read this, read that, and come back to me. When you're a carer, you don't have time to read. You don't even have time to, you know, blow your nose sometimes. It's so ongoing. The pressure is so ongoing that, and this is for me what differentiated Tide as well. Tide is there with clear, concise help that uh, makes a big difference in the moment. And people who will ring you up and ask, talk to you and say, okay, well, actually, I know someone that you should speak to in social services, or have you tried this? But it's about being able to access solutions and support in the immediate term. So that for me is that's what's needed with this handbook. It's outlined, um, it's divided into various stages from diagnosis to living with dementia, going into a care home, end of life, um, and also the tricky issue of getting carers coming into the home, which is a minefield as well. So there's lots of guidance and pointers on that, and it's all pulled together in one place. So that for me is why it's so useful. It details out uh, sources that I weren't wasn't available. I didn't realize are actually available to help me at different stages, and they can be any resources such from social services, uh, primary care, um, services around end of life, but also help around advice on sorting out your financial affairs, your legal affairs, who they ask for if you're in, who they speak to if there's problems around that, and um, then actually just things to consider when you've actually reached that point of end of life, and also the death helped me recognize that living grief, what feelings that I was having about my father, realizing that he was slipping away in front of me, the person that he was, and that our relationship, the dynamic had changed so much from me being his daughter to suddenly being his carer and almost, well, yeah, I'm the adult in the relationship now. And sometimes he thinks I'm his sister, and yeah, and so it helped defining that actual feeling. Well, is that living grief? Helped mentioned it, and then there's obviously a list of where you can go for support, counselling, and support around mental health issues. Um, at the various stages that you need them, because you know carers have very many worries, and the role is very isolated, and um, that support is very much needed for all of us in this journey. For me, it's in that it explains the journey. It's detailed out by stages of the dementia journey, from initial diagnosis and what you need to do for support, through to having carers come into your home, maybe thinking about care homes, and then the end of life stages. It first of all prepares you for that in a way. And whether you choose to read that or think about those things at the start, because literally that shock of diagnosis, or actually sometimes even diagnosis is not a shock. It's um, there's sometimes a relief that, right, okay, everything that I thought is true, that this is happening. So now can we please get some help? So that what this handbook does is details out the help that you can get there and then, from maybe sensory support if your loved one has sight or hearing issues, to uh, guiding you to speak to your GP, um, to get your financial affairs in order, to make a will if you haven't, if the person you're caring for has still got capacity, mental capacity to make a will, to talking to your family and highlighting to them what might be needed coming down the line. Um, so it's really useful in terms of detailing out all of the support. That's what I love about Tide. The Kerr's voice is regarded as a source of of knowledge, and that that there's expertise there, learned expertise from our roles, and that's acknowledged and valued. And for me, I think um, what yeah what we need to see more of is that um, the person who is living with dementia, their voice is really important, but at some point um, they may not have capacity to make their thoughts or wishes known, and so that's when those who've been close to them, who've been living through that diagnosis and that journey with them, our voices are really important because we can help inform and help health and social services to be able to deliver a more cohesive and informed service. I wish that our voice and our experiences were taken in a spirit of being able to help deliver a better service all round.